prosperous, a leader in your field. It's all possible with the right tools, support, and community. LegacyGlobal.tv is the virtual hub of the Kingdom Visionary community. Disciples on a mission to fulfill the Great Commission through entrepreneurial enterprises. Join us every day on LegacyGlobal.tv, where we connect you with Christ-focused content and a community dedicated to help you advance both professionally and personally.
Another episode of Marketplace Mondays. I'm your visionary strategist, Geralda Larkins, and I'm so excited. I hope I don't jump off in groupie status over the woman of God that is sitting right here with us in the incubator. This woman is none other than Ernisha Randolph, the owner and CEO of Sweet Butter Hospitality Group, a multi-concept hospitality group that manages and develops brands and experiences. She is the curator of the wildly successful Sweet Butter pop-up shop that has essentially taken over the South Florida region. It's an immersive culinary experience featuring a Broadway-style musical show of live music, singing, and dancing. And we want to get into all of that. And we're so grateful to have you here, Ernisha.
I'm grateful to be here. Thank you all for having me.
Well, tell the world a little bit about you.
So I'm Ernisha Randolph, and I am the founder of Sweet Butter Hospitality Group. And it's a hospitality group that manages brands and experiences. It started out with the pop-up dinner shows last year, actually. Yeah. And since then, it has grown and kind of morphed into this mega hospitality company that now manages and owns a catering company, the catering company that we've had. Yes. We also have food products. You name it, we provide it to restaurants, from desserts to main dishes. We sell our products to restaurants who then in turn sell it to their customers. So a lot of the things that you all are eating, if it's real tasty, more than likely it's from us.
And it's so tasty. You kind of merge different flavors and styles of foods. Mm-hmm. I've seen you, if you've been on TV, you've seen her all over news organizations talking about your style of cooking. Mm-hmm. What is that style?
It's Southern, but it's actually American. So that's one reason why we started Sweet Butter. I realized that being in South Florida, we are a melting pot, which is awesome. It's amazing. However, as a Black American, I'm Black American. My grandmother is from Georgia, grandfather from the Carolinas, the Gullah Geechee Nation, actually. And it's kind of, it's hard finding authentic soul food here. Yes. You know, in Miami, we kind of just created our own soul food. So I'm like, you know what, there are some authentic dishes that people need to know, you know, number one, where they're from, because we like to lump soul food up into one category, and it's like fried chicken, mac and cheese, and collard greens. But in the States, we have the Gullah Geechee style cooking, or the Carolina style cooking. And then we also have New Orleans with their Cajun and Creole cultures. And then we have Tennessee's barbecue that's different from Texas barbecue, that's different from Carolina barbecue. So what we like to do is just give our attendees of that pop-up dinner show a mixture of all of them. So you'll receive Mississippi hot caviar, something that most people in Miami have never heard of. Whether you're Black, American, Caribbean, or anything else, like we don't know about these authentic dishes that have been around forever.
And you do it well. I attended last year's Sweet Butter, and there's been multiple since then, but I attended Sweet Butter last year, and I've never experienced anything like that. Even in the city of Overtown, I can't even remember the last time I've been to Overtown. And essentially, Sweet Butter made Overtown become another spot for people to come and be and hang out, you know. So how did it feel coming and being that and taking part in kind of bringing Overtown back to the map again?
Well, I'm so grateful for Chairman Commissioner Keon Hardiman, Neil Shiver over at the CRA. At that time, I think it was Clarence Woods who was the director of the CRA, and Janelle Adderley. I'm so grateful for them because I went and I met, and just with a vision, and they're doing so many wonderful things there. They bought Soul Basel and so many wonderful things to revitalize that community. That was the Black community. Yeah. And that's where the James Browns, the Aretha Franklins, and all of the celebrities, that's where they went at one time. So somewhere along the way with them building I-95 and kind of breaking that community up, we lost our way. And they had the vision to, you know, see it where it was. And I'm grateful for the commissioner for seeing Sweet Butter as being a part of that resurgence of that community and trusting me to, you know, just kind of be there and do what we do. And thank God it worked. I remember the first Sweet Butter, we had planned 3 shows in one night. We will never, ever, ever do that again. But we were trying to get them in and get them out, and the commissioner hit the stage, and I was like, oh my God, he's going to be so upset. There's a line all the way down the street in the middle of Overtown. And he got on the stage and he said, do you all realize there's a line down the street in the middle of Overtown at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night? Like, he was just so excited because, you know, no one was afraid. No one was, you know, they were like, listen, I'm anxious to get in and see what's going on. And that, I believe, is what was his original vision for that community. And I'm just grateful that we were able to deliver.
And you delivered well. I'm talking about the spirit of excellence, the food, the ambiance, everything. It was amazing. So if you haven't been to Sweet Butter, you better look out. We pray that she pop up another spot in South Florida, okay? All right, so let's talk about your entrepreneurial journey, because you have been a staple in our community from a perspective of entrepreneurship for quite a few years now. But what people don't know is that your building capacity, your apostolic gifting started years prior. And I remember about 6 years ago, Facebook actually reminded me that we were friends for 6 years on Facebook. But it was around that time where I was heavily engaged in girls ministry, young girls ministry, and you could not operate in that space without your name coming up. Your name kept popping up. And so I'm like, okay, I got to connect with her. So take us back. We see the grand empire that you're building now, but take us back, because you built not just, you know, what we see today, but you've been building for quite some time. So tell us.
Absolutely. So the ministry that she's talking about, I started a nonprofit when I was 19 years old. And that was kind of birthed through a lot of mistakes and pain and, you know, just a really troubled teenagehood. And but anyhow, Young Ladies of Integrity was birthed, and at 19 years old, I began mentoring young ladies because I didn't want them to mistake what they saw as glory and the good life and, you know, she's doing so well, and, you know, I didn't want them to mistake what they saw and think that they could travel the same path in order to get there. So I wanted to make sure that these ladies were mentored, and my message to them was abstinence. So refraining from sex until marriage, refraining from drugs and alcohol, refraining from just a lifestyle that I know gets a lot of us young ladies into a lot of trouble. Whether we're teenagers, whether we're young adults, on college campuses, girls are getting like pissy drunk, and then, you know, bad things end up happening to them, you know, as a result of them just not being conscious. So that grew to 50 young ladies, and then it grew to, you know, I mean, hundreds of young ladies. And we volunteered our time and we raised money and we did what it took in order to mentor these young ladies. And I'm so excited that you said that, you know, the word kind of got around and, you know, everyone respected our organization, because that was our goal, to make sure that the young ladies were mentored, to make sure that we kept an awesome reputation, and, you know, in turn, the community will be fed.
Absolutely. And you said you started this organization at 19. That means that there was something imparted in you before that would be like, okay, I want to carry this organization. I want to give back. Take us back. I mean, how did you start building an organization, you know, at such a young age?
Well, my entrepreneurial journey started when I was 8 years old. I started a candy house, and it wasn't because I wanted to. It was because my parents just refused to give us anything. Like, if we wanted Jordans, my dad went and bought us some Skechers. And at that time, Skechers weren't cool. I think now the kids are liking them. And, you know, it was just always something else. So I'm like, you know, I'm going to make my own money. And we're going to do our own thing. Yeah. So that candy house ended up, by a couple of years later, I was making about $500 a week. So I was rich. And then once I became a teenager, I wanted to live my teenage life. I didn't want to operate my little business anymore. And I was doing well. You know, I made that money not just by selling candy, but I had started frying chicken and shrimp. I was selling shrimp and fries, chicken and fries, you name it, because I've always been a really great cook. And so I stopped doing that, and that's where the trouble in my life, you know, kind of started, because I had to replace the positive with whatever teenagers would normally get into, which is some trouble. So I ended up pregnant at 14. I had a baby really, really young. I was in the 9th grade, and it literally just almost destroyed my family. My dad couldn't look at me, couldn't talk. I grew up in a 2-parent household, so I wasn't the normal statistic with, you know, a single mother and etc. I had no business doing everything that I was getting into. But that, thank God, that woke me up. You know, it woke me up, and I got myself together real fast. And but like I said, I realized that young ladies were looking at me like, well, she's doing fine, and now she's going to college, and now she has a car, and now and it's like, no, don't look at, because, you know, when you're a child, your mind says she did this and she's doing good. They don't see, you know, that I got it together, and that's why I'm now doing good. So that was the whole purpose of Young Ladies of Integrity coming about. And when you think about it, it's like, yeah, you were 19 years old. How'd you know to start and incorporate a nonprofit organization? And when I think back, I'm like, yeah, what was I thinking? Why wasn't I partying with my friends? But I guess that is like, you know, it's just a gift that God gave me, and I've always been a visionary. I've always wanted to create. I've never had boundaries, you know? It's always been like, oh, I'll just do it myself, you know? So I thank God for whatever that is inside of me that He gave me, because I don't see limits.
You don't. And it's like, to see from 19 and now you're going into your own business here in well, I saw 6 years ago, and then now to see where it has manifested so tremendously. What has been the biggest obstacle between back then and today to getting to your today?
I think, I don't even think the biggest obstacle was me becoming a teen parent, because I kind of shook that off, got it together, and moved on with life. I think a really huge obstacle might have been when my mom passed. So she was there when I started the nonprofit, and everything was good. And then when I was 21, she died of breast cancer. And I was just like, Lord, what am I going to do now? Because my mom, she was such an amazing woman. And while she worked at the state attorney's office, and, you know, she had a regular 9-to-5, but she was one that always told me, like, go on and do it. You know, you can do whatever you want to do. She might not have known how to do it, but she'd help me research it, help me, you know. And when she passed, that's actually where the catering company was birthed. She passed in September. My great-grandmother passed 2 months prior to. So my grandmother, who was taking care of both of them, you know, she just was lost and was like, I'm going to retire, and I'm just going to pack up my stuff, and I'm just going to leave. So, through a lot of conversation and everything, she decided, let's go ahead and start the catering company. But I'll be with you a little while, and then you're going to take over because I'm really retiring. For real.
Right.
So that's where our catering company, Juanita's Kitchen, was birthed. And, child, she's still with us today.
And Juanita is your grandma, right?
She's my grandma, and she's still in the kitchen today. She's talking about, you gonna do it? No, she's still there. And but yeah, that was a really hard time for my entire family because we were in a lot of, my dad, I don't know what ended up happening with that, but I ended up with my siblings. So I'm 21. I'm in college. I'm running a nonprofit. And now I have to take in my siblings. I was scheduled to get married in December. My mom passed in September. So now I got to go into the marriage. In my head, I'm like, I got to go into a marriage with baggage. Like, what we going to do? And I just thank God for a really, really amazing husband who's like, yeah, what we going to do?
Come on, preach. I'm so glad you brought up Mr. Randolph. Because I'm just saying, to have a whole house, a whole family, and you've played a part and he's played a part in bringing this empire to be, and how you both complement each other's gifts, and to see you all out in the public is like a power couple. Really an example to other people that want to aspire to be a mogul or an entrepreneur. He shut down Jazz in the Garden. I mean, no, real talk. He shuts down all the sweet butter pop-up shops. If you missed it, you better make sure you register. But then here's this big old platform with all these major heavy hitters, and the only people everyone's talking about is A. Randolph. How does that feel?
It's amazing. It really is, because just to see great talent. Yeah. Like I'm with him all the time, and he's a creator. Yeah. And I think I made a post about that on Facebook because I'm like, there's so much greatness, and people just don't know. They don't understand. A lot of people are just meeting him, and of course, so they wouldn't know. But I'm like, y'all don't understand how dope he is. Like, at the end of the day, he writes all of his material. He creates the music for it. He's a studio engineer also. So he's literally creating everything. He mixes it. He masters it. He, everything for the sweet butter pop-ups. He create, everything that you see as far as entertainment. Wow. He creates those shows, So, and the way he thinks, sometimes the musicians are sitting back like, really, Aunt, are we going to do this? And then once the finished product is done, they like, I didn't know. Like, this is amazing. Yeah. So, he did shut down Jazz.
He did shut down.
Of course, in my opinion. So it's awesome to hear someone else say it.
Oh, the whole social media sphere was talking about A. Randolph and the Smash Room. Mm-hmm. And your sister, Sarah Gracell, another creative, okay? Mm-hmm. You raised her. I remember seeing her as part of Young Ladies of Integrity back in the day, and to see her now. She spoke at our one of the first girls' conferences we had in Miami Gardens, and she would not take that stage without you. She wouldn't, and she's like, I'm bringing her with me. And to see you guys today in business together, and she's on stage as well.
Yes.
How do you feel about
I'm so proud of Sarah because when my mom had passed, and she graduated high school. I got my brother off to college, and then I pushed her off to college, and she's like, a couple of years later, she's like, Nisha, I really want to act. Like, that's my thing. She had got a prophecy when she was a little girl that she was going to be an actress. Wow. And she's like, that's my thing. Like, please, just, I know, everyone wants me to be in college and that's it, but please. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give you a couple of years, and you going to make something happen, or you going your butt right back to college. And then I thought about it some more, and I was like, you know what? Instead of her, just completely focusing on one thing, how about I help her to develop something? Not to say that she, couldn't have made it as an actress or anything like that, but how about I help her develop something that will help take care of her? Because if you won't need a job, you won't need anyone else if you can create your own. Yes. So I'm like, Sarah, I have an idea to start a candy business. We'll make gourmet sweets, gourmet candies, and things like that. Wow. And all you have to do is run it. Now, me telling Sarah that at that time, Sarah, she's not domestic at all. She does not cook, okay? She does now. But at that time, she was Miss pray me, honey. Like, I'm not touching that, you know. And she was like, okay. You know, I guess she had to say okay because it was a part of the agreement. But Sarah took that business and it started out as candy and cupcakes, and I created the original recipe. Sarah has taken that original recipe and she's created so many things that I don't even know how to do right now. So she took that vision and she turned it into something of her own. And now here she is acting. Here she is being the Carbonell Award-winning Best Actress. So thank God both of her visions she was able to be successful at both of them.
We have had the pleasure of tasting the Candy Girls. We had a Candy Girl experience when we launched Legacy. And we had cupcakes. Y'all remember the cupcakes? Yes. Everybody was pounding those cupcakes. So Sarah is on to something. And it's so amazing to see all that creativity just locked up in this family. All right. So at this point, you know, I talk about the restaurant business. I talk about the entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur in that space. People see you and they could easily mistake how easy this thing is.
Yeah, we make it look easy.
You guys do make it look easy. I don't want to tell you how many times I call Ernisha and be like, I got an event, I need you, and she just makes it happen. So at this point, what words of encouragement would you give that budding caterer, that budding restaurateur that wants to step out and try to make it in this space?
So one thing I've already said that we make it look easy. However, one thing that it is hard work. But it's only as hard as you make it. If you have a well-developed plan, then I mean you can ride out with it. When the Bible talks about creating a vision so that people can run, I can't express enough how important it is to just be as detailed as possible. With my company, we have a branding book, and in this brand book, everything from the type of font, the number for the color that's in the font that's to be used, for the logo, for the taglines, for everything, the exact degree that the logo can be tilted, how far it needs to be away from everything regarding the branding of our product. We have it detailed for the corporation. So at this point, you know, you have to be and I know some people are like, oh well, how'd you even think of that? And just research, listen to people, take notes, and do what other people do. I do, and I realized a long time ago that I don't want to be a mom and pop. I don't want to be a mom and pop. I don't want to stay on this level. So I knew I had to move out of the realm that we were in and go into the hospitality group. So now what we're doing is we're creating these brands and experiences, and maybe we'll sell this restaurant, or you know, sign over rights to, you know, this person to operate this restaurant. But it cannot happen if I don't have a well-detailed plan and a well-detailed business, not only business plan, marketing plan, you name it, financials, everything. So and that was something that you know, Claudianne, the realtor, that was something she told. We were looking at a space, we were going to get a space for a restaurant. And she's like, okay, well, can you send me this and send me that? And she's like, girl, do you realize within 5 minutes I had everything that you asked me? People don't do that. I didn't realize that people don't do that. So if you plan on doing anything in this food industry, make sure you do get a mentor. Make sure you do listen, take notes, follow suit, and just plan out as much as you can.
Yeah, this girl blows my brains. Jesus, help me, Father. Help me not to get too groupie. Like, listen. She's giving you these tidbits about the hospitality space, but you're also president of, I know you're in the commerce.
The Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce.
Yes. I'm
the president of the Young Professionals Network of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce.
Tell me about that. Can we clap it up? Okay. So, tell me what is it like now giving back? You've given back in the community, in your space when you were younger. Now you're in your career, you're in your business, and now you're even finding a way to give back here. How important is it to constantly have an arm of service in what you're doing?
It is so important, and I say it all the time, and I know a lot of people look at service and community service and giving back like, you know, really like tunnel vision, like it has to be this way. However, with me joining YPN, with me being a mentor to college students and those things, that's my way of giving back. What I had to realize, because I got a little bit of activist in me too, and
we're gonna talk about that.
And I had to realize that, you know, there's not really much. There's a lot you can do with nothing, so don't get me wrong. However, we can be so much further as a community if we have a financial base. So if you know, how are you going to save yourself, let alone a whole community, if without money? You know, the Bible says that money, you know, it's the answer to all. And the thing is, it's true. You know, the Parkland kids, when they just wanted to go up there, actually, as soon as that event happened, people started pouring money into, you know, millions of dollars into that whole project, that cause. So they were able to go and accomplish, you know, an entire march within a matter of a couple of days or a couple of weeks. And I look at our kids here in Miami, and they wanted to go to the march, and you know, it was like raising money and the struggle, like, you know, come on, let's piece together $250, you give $500. And that's the thing, our community, we need more of a financial base so that it can be, okay, well, I'll write a check for $500,000, I'll write a check for $1 million, and it's nothing. So it's so important for me to give back. My way of giving back is to mentor other aspiring entrepreneurs and kind of, you know, help us to get that financial wheel turning.
Yes, I'm telling you, and I even know that you're in real estate as well. How is that going? Can you kind of share what made you get into that space as well?
Yes, so with real estate, first of all, I knew that I needed to purchase property so that can be an additional stream of income. Yeah. It can be an additional stream of income into our financial portfolio, our meaning my family.
Yes.
But then there was a lot of conversation a couple of years back about gentrification and everyone's gentrifying Overtown and Little Haiti and this community and that community, and I kind of got a little frustrated with, you know, that conversation and not seeing any action behind it. It's like, okay, so what we gonna do? We just gonna keep complaining? So I went to one of my YPN members, and I'm like, you know, listen, what are we gonna do? You know, I know we spoke about some things, but we need to do something. And we gathered quite a few young professionals through YPN Miami, the Young Professionals Network, and we're like, listen, if we can all pull together some money, you know, let's begin to buy up the community that is not being gentrified at the moment, and that was Liberty City. At that moment. So we put together money, we met with mentors, we totally didn't know anything about, you know, developing a real estate firm or a real estate investment firm, and we did it. We made it happen. We purchased a few properties, sold a couple of them already, still holding on to some of them, and now the price in Liberty City is like sky high. I saw a property for sale, a small 3-bedroom home. You know, a 3-bedroom in Liberty City is different than a 3-bedroom in Miami Gardens. The homes are much smaller, for $250,000. So thank God we got in when we did. But
that's some smart, forward thinking. You got it all. You said you're visionary. When you have vision, you can see things before they're even a reality, and you can start operating in that space, trusting God, moving out, and just making things happen. That's so powerful. Well, then now give us some words of encouragement. We're all here. My group, they're here. I don't know if y'all got y'all questions coming, but they're aspiring to grow their God-given visions. They're wanting to get into that entrepreneurial space and really make it happen, and make it happen big with tangible blessings coming home to their households. What words of encouragement would you give them?
Well, one thing that I would say to anyone, the attendees here and online, for anyone who wants to get into that space, I would say, I've already mentioned to write down a vision, but don't think so small. Like, if it's in your head, you go ahead and put it down on a vision board, and you go for it with everything in you. And you go, you network, you go to events, you network, you meet people. Don't be afraid to walk up to the CEO and ask them how they did it. And you listen to those stories, and that's how you begin to frame your company and your vision and what it is that you want to birth. Yes. But I don't think small. I don't think on any small level. I knew I didn't want to be a mom and pop. I knew I wanted to build a hospitality corporation just like Darden Foods, just like, you know, so many of those other ones. I know that's right. So I'm like, well, how can I make that happen? Yes. And right now we're launching our first restaurant that will be opening in the beginning of May in Miami Gardens, called Shuckin' and Jive, and that's going to be a takeout restaurant, a New Orleans themed takeout restaurant. And I began to think, okay, I don't want to open this up like another mom and pop. So what can we do? And I met with the team, my family, and we're like, okay, let's just go around. What's the difference between McDonald's and this mom and pop? What's the difference between Chipotle and this mom and pop? And you can do the same thing. Yes. You just go around, you do your research, and you figure out what is it gonna take in order for me to birth what I need to birth on the scale that I like to birth it.
Get it. I hope y'all taking all these notes. This is powerful. And go back and replay this video. Man, this has been such a blessing. Thank you so much. I ask all my guests to leave a kingdom essential, a biblical principle that you stand on that helps you to stay focused, stay grounded. What would you want to leave today as your kingdom essential?
So something that helps me stay grounded, I continue to go back to Proverbs 31. And that's something that when I tell you, I studied it and I taught it to the young ladies of integrity. And I'm like, this is what we want to do. This is who we want to be. We want to make sure that, you know, in our city we're well respected. We want to make sure that we support our husband if you know you have a husband. We want to make sure that we support our family. So, you know, that's something that I live by. And there are times when I get extremely discouraged. You know, some things can happen. So I don't want anyone to think that, you know, people tend to see people who, you know, they consider successful, and they're like, oh, well, they just always, no, they go through the same things that you go through. And the end result is how they deal with it versus how you deal with it. So at the end of the day, you know, I was even discouraged recently, and I'm like, oh Lord, you know what I'm gonna do? And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna refocus. I'm gonna cry. But then tomorrow, I'm going to refocus, I'm going to regroup, and I'm going to pull myself together and figure out a way out of this situation. That's right. And it's not that you're not going to go through anything. I mean, the trials, the things, they keep coming. They keep hitting you. Yes. You know, at one time, the IRS came at me for money that I didn't even owe, and they froze my bank account. And now I got a catering job that I got to shop for tomorrow. What I'm going to do? Yes. You know, but you have to regroup, think your way through that situation, and refocus. That wasn't for me to give up. You know, that was for me to realize, girl, if you can find a way out of this, you can find a way out of anything.
Come on. It's all a setup. It's all a setup for your next level. That's powerful. Well, praise God. I just thank you for so much for coming. And she said she would, and she did. I'm so grateful. This is my girl, Ernisha Randolph.
My girl.
Sweet Butter Hospitality Group. Keep up with her. How do we keep in touch with you?
Follow us at Sweet Butter Group on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at Miami Housewife or on Facebook at Ernisha Randolph.
All right, guys, keep up with her. We'll post all that information in the comments, and I just want to say thank you again. God bless you, my audience. Next week, we're going to come right back again with another dynamic entrepreneur, Miss Trinice. Apparel, Brown's Athletic Apparel. Please stay tuned at 7:30 on Monday. We'll see you back here again next week. God bless. Bye-bye.